Hello children, happy morning. Today we are going to discuss about the Unit 1 supplementary, the envious neighbor. Have you heard about the word envious? Yes, it means jealous. So we are going to discuss about the envious neighbor. Do you like pets? Yes, of course, everyone likes pets, isn't it? Okay, let us see the story. It's a Japanese folktale. The story is a Japanese folktale. What is the meaning of folktale? Traditional or cultural story which gives some moral. So the envious neighbor, it's a Japanese folktale. In the old days, there lived an honest man with his wife and a pet dog. One day, when the old folks went out to the work in their garden. What is the meaning of folks? People. So the old people usually they work in their garden. On that day also they went to work in their garden. The dog, which was their pet, stopped and began to bark. We all know that if the dog sees any different thing, it usually barks. It's a quiet nature of a dog, isn't it? Likewise, here the dog spotted a place and started to bark. The old people thought there might be something nice to eat under the ground. So they took a spade and began to start digging where the dog had stopped. They were very shocked because the place was full of gold pieces and silver and all sorts of precious things. What is the meaning of precious things? Very valuable things. Children, you just imagine, if you get such precious things, what will you do? You will buy a mobile phone to play games, isn't it? But here, the old couple, they were very generous. So, they gathered the treasure and gave alms to the poor. What is the meaning of alms? Money or food given to the poor. Okay, children, I have shown you the first and second para with the meaning. For all the words, I have given the meaning. You just go through it. With that precious things, the couple bought themselves rice fields and corn fields and became very wealthy. In the neighboring house, there lived a covetous and stingy old couple. What is the meaning of covetous? Ungenerous, very greedy. What is the meaning of stingy? They never ready to spend anything else. They heard about the old honest couple and borrowed their dog. See how the criminal, the old couple, they heard that the honest old couple gathered the treasure because of the dog. So they borrowed that dog from that honest old couple. This covetous old couple prepared a great feast for that dog, but the dog would not eat the dainties set before him. What is the meaning of dainties? Very good and tasty food. They prepared a very good and tasty food and they gave it to the dog, but it was not ready to eat it. So the old couple put a rope around the dog's neck and led him out into the garden, and they were waiting. Why were they waiting? They thought the dog might find any treasure in that garden, but he had no wow for them. At last, the dog stopped at the spot and began to sniff. What is the meaning of sniff? To smell something. The old people became very happy and thought it was a lucky place. Why they thought it was a lucky place? Because they thought that they could find any treasure there. With the happiness, the old couple started to dig the place. What happened? The old couple couldn't find anything, nothing but dirt and nasty offal. What is the meaning of nasty offal? Awful garbage. Only dust. They found only dust. The couple became very angered. So they seized the dog and killed him. The good old man waited for some days, but the dog didn't come to his house. So the good old couple went next door and asked for their dog. The wicked old man answered that he had killed him and buried him at the root of a pine tree. What is the meaning of wicked? That means evil. So that wicked old man very deliberately said that he had killed the dog and buried the dog at the root of the pine tree. Where did he bury the dog? At the root of the pine tree. The honest man became very worried. The good old man with a heavy heart went to the spot where the dog was buried. Where it was buried? It was buried under a pine tree, isn't it? So he became very sad. So he brought a tray with the delicate food. What is the meaning of delicate food? Tasty food which was liked by the dog. And he burnt incense. What is the meaning of incense? It's a joss stick. If you burn that stick, it gives some fragrance, isn't it? And he adorned the grave with flowers. What is the meaning of adorned? Decorated the grave with flowers. Then he started to cry. He shed tears over his last pet. See how much the old man worried. On that night, when the good old man was sleeping, the dog appeared in his dream. It thanked the good old man for the kindness which he shown to that dog. And it also insisted the good old man to cut down the pine tree where it was buried. And he asked him to make a mortar. Do you know the meaning of mortar? It's like a bowl shape. It is used to grind the grains into powder. And it also asked him to think of the dog as if it were himself. The next morning, the good old man did everything as per the instruction given by the dog. He cut down the pine trees and make it as a mortar. When he started to ground the rice in it, each grain of the rice turned into some rich treasure. So they became very happy. The good old couple became very happy. This news heard by the wicked old couple. So they immediately approached the good old couple and asked for that mortar. You all know that good old couple is always generous, isn't it? So they hand over the mortar to the wicked old couple. They both took that and came to their house. The wicked couple were very happy and they believed that when they started to ground that, they will get the treasure like a good old couple. But what happened? When they started to ground the rice in that mortar, they got only filth. What is the meaning of filth? Dirty. Only they got dirty things from that mortar. So they became very upset. the wicked old couple got very angered. In a fit of rage, the wicked old couple broke the mortar into pieces and burnt it. What is the meaning of fit of rage? It means very strong and uncontrolled anger. Fit of rage is an idiom. What is an idiom? Do you know what is an idiom? Idiom is a common word or phrase, okay, which means something different from its literal meaning, but it can be understood. Okay, so fit of rage is an idiom. It means very strong and uncontrolled anger. So they got very angered and burnt the mortar. Now the mortar became ashes. The mortar which gave the good couple the treasure became ashes now because of that wicked old couple. On that night, the dog again appeared in the good old man's dream, and it also explained what had happened to the mortar. It also insisted the good old man to get the ashes from the wicked old man. It also added that if he sprinkled the ashes on the withered trees, the trees would put out flowers immediately. What is the meaning of withered? Dry trees. If he sprinkled the ashes on the dried trees, it blossoms. After that instruction, the dog vanished. What is the meaning of vanish? Disappeared. After hearing this, the good old man became very worried. He started to cry. He immediately ran to the neighbor house and begged them to give him the ashes, which was the treasure. The good old man collected the ashes and turned to his home. He wanted to make a trial, so he sprinkled the ashes on a withered cherry tree of his home. Immediately, the withered cherry tree began to sprout and blossom. What is the meaning of sprout? Put out shoots. So the cherry tree which was in his home, it started to put out the shoots. What is the meaning of blossom? Flowering. When he saw this wonderful effect, he was amazed. So he immediately put the ashes in a basket and went about the country. And he announced that he had the power of bringing dead trees to life again. This news was heard by the prince. So he called the good old man. The honest man showed his power. What was the power? He sprinkled the ashes on all the withered plum and cherry trees, which started to shoot out and put forth the flowers. So he received rich awards from the prince. Again, this news was heard by the wicked old couple. The wicked old man approached the good old man and collected all the ashes. He went out into the castle town. What is the meaning of castle? Large building. So he went out into the town. He announced that he was the old man who had the power of bringing dead trees to life again. The prince had this news and called the wicked old man to exhibit his power. What is the meaning of exhibit? To display or to show his power. The wicked old man became very happy. Why did he become very happy? He thought he would get rich rewards from the prince. So he climbed up into the withered tree and started to sprinkle the ashes on the withered trees. What happened? Nothing appeared, not a bud or flower, nothing appeared on the withered tree. But the ashes which he was sprinkled over the dry trees, it flew into the prince's eyes and mouth. So he started to choke. The prince started to choke. So he got such irritation. He became very angered. Immediately the prince ordered the retainers to seize the wicked old man. The retainers beat the wicked old man almost to death. So the old man, unable to walk, he crawled off home in a very sorry condition. Now only the wicked old couple understood what a trap they had fallen into. They scolded themselves. So they realized their mistakes. The good old couple heard of their neighbor's distress. You all know that they are very generous, isn't it? So they gave them a share of their own riches. The wicked old couple mended their waves. What is the meaning of mended? Repair their waves. They started to lead a good and virtuous life ever after. What is the meaning of virtuous? Righteous, moral qualities and behavior. Children, let us see the short recap of the story. Once there lived an old farmer along with his wife, who was a very kind and an honest man, whereas his neighbor was a covetous, stingy old man. The good old farmer was so kind to all animals and people that he was very much affectionate towards the dog even after its death. He made rituals to the dog, considering it as his family member. Yes, isn't it? He actually adorned with the flowers, burnt incense for the death dog, isn't it? So he considered the dog as his family member. When he got rich treasures out of the blessings and power of the dog, he helped the poor people by giving them alms and revived all the withered trees in the field. He didn't do anything greedily. He was also not selfish. His neighbor, on the other hand, who was very wicked and cruel, they borrowed the dog from the good old couple only to get the treasure, not to pet it. They didn't give it anything to eat, but tied the dog with the belt and often kicked it and bit it. When he found the dog didn't help him in getting any treasures, he beat the dog to death. He was so covetous that he even wanted to get the ashes of the dead dog, with which the good old farmer received many presents and rewards from the prince. The wicked old man was so jealous that he too wanted to receive the same, the presents and rewards from the prince. But what happened? Because of his greediness and stinginess, he lost everything. At last, the wicked old couple realized their mistake and led a peaceful life. Children, what do you understand from this story? We should not get jealous on anybody. Try not to feel jealous about things or people or places. It's a toxic. What is the meaning of toxic? Poison. Jealous is a kind of a poison. So just keep living. You will find your happiness. I hope, children, you understood this story. If we want to make our life more colorful and beautiful, we should avoid anger and jealous. Children, I am going to say a few tips how to overcome jealousy. Recover your personal power, shift your point of view, develop control over your attention, develop an attitude of gratitude. Okay, children, try to follow these points. Okay, children, take care, be safe, be cheerful. Let us all meet in the next class.